The memory paradox: why remembering still matters in the age of AI. In an era where AI can compose essays, answer complex questions, and retrieve information in seconds, it's tempting to believe that human memory is becoming obsolete. Why bother learning when everything is just a click or prompt away? But this logic, argue the authors of the memory paradox, is dangerously flawed. In fact, the more powerful our tools become, the more important it is to build and retain knowledge in our own minds. Contrary to the current narrative, memory is not just a relic of a pre-digital age. It is the foundation of deep understanding, flexible thinking, and even creativity. Why? Memory still matters. The central claim of the paper is simple, but profound. Just because we can outsource knowledge doesn't mean we should. Having easy access to information isn't the same as understanding it, and looking things up repeatedly prevents us from developing the mental structures that make us effective thinkers. Our brains store knowledge in networks of interconnected memories. Over time, through retrieval and practice, this information becomes deeply embedded, allowing us to recognize patterns, make decisions, and think creatively. These internal mental maps, or schemata, are what allow a doctor to diagnose quickly, a chess player to see 10 moves ahead, or a writer to craft an elegant argument. AI, for all its prowess, doesn't replace these human skills. Instead, it risks dulling them. What neuroscience tells us. Modern brain science helps explain why relying too much on external tools can be a mistake. Our brains use different systems to store and apply knowledge. One is for facts and ideas we can consciously recall, like knowing the capital of France. Another is for things we do automatically without thinking, like riding a bike or recognizing a familiar face. When we practice something enough, it moves from conscious recall to automatic, effortless action, freeing up mental space for more complex tasks. But if we never commit facts to memory or always depend on AI to fill in the gaps, that transition doesn't happen. Our working memory gets overloaded, and we lose the ability to think quickly and creatively. The result? Shallower understanding, weaker intuition, and more fragile reasoning. The problem with offloading. Today's digital tools encourage what researchers call cognitive offloading, using phones, computers, or AI to handle tasks our brains once did. There's nothing wrong with that in moderation. Offloading can help us focus on more important tasks, just as a calculator helps a scientist crunch numbers faster. But the trouble starts when offloading becomes a habit. If students rely on ChatGPT to write their essays before they learn to think through arguments themselves, they miss the opportunity to develop core reasoning skills. If professionals turn to Google for every quick fact, they never build the mental models needed for insight and innovation. Technology isn't just changing how we work, it's changing how we learn, and sometimes not for the better. Has this already affected us? One startling piece of evidence the authors highlight is the reversal of the so-called Flynn effect. For most of the 20th century, average IQ scores around the world rose steadily. But in many countries, that trend has started to reverse. While many factors are at play, the authors suggest one contributing cause may be a growing neglect of memorization and focused learning, fueled in part by the rise of technology and changes in educational philosophy. When we abandon structured learning in favor of unstructured exploration or too early reliance on AI tools, we may be undermining the very cognitive skills we need to thrive. How AI should fit in. None of this means we should reject AI. Quite the opposite. AI can be a powerful ally if we use it wisely. Like a microscope for a biologist or a calculator for an engineer, AI should amplify our thinking, not replace it. For that to happen, we need a strong foundation of internal knowledge. Only then can we ask the right questions, interpret the answers, and judge when the AI might be wrong. Otherwise, we risk becoming passive users of technology instead of active thinkers. Building smarter learners. And wide. So, what should we do instead? The authors advocate for evidence-based learning practices like spaced repetition, reviewing material at increasing intervals, retrieval practice, testing yourself, and interleaving, mixing up types of problems. These methods help solidify knowledge and build long-term memory. They also urge schools and workplaces to rethink their approach to learning. Instead of dismissing memorization as outdated, we should recognize it as essential to building the mental scaffolding for higher-level thought. And we should teach people not just how to use AI, but when not to use it. The real paradox. The memory paradox is this. In a world where we have more access to information than ever, it is still crucial, perhaps even more crucial, to remember things ourselves. AI may be changing the landscape of knowledge, but the human mind still matters. In fact, it matters more than ever. The tools we create can be astonishing, but only if we continue to nurture the minds that wield them.